The moment I saw this headline, I knew I had to tell you about it, even if it meant reading the entire story on camera. And that's what I'm going to do here because it's very important. California set to ban the sales of gas-powered cars after 2032. So just around the corner. California is set to enact a ban on new vehicles using internal combustion engines that will take effect in 2035, a move that could be followed by dozens or more states that collectively account for as much as a third of automotive sales in the U.S. Are you thinking about what you're going to buy here pretty soon? California Air Resource Board member Daniel Sperling says he is 99.9% confident that this monumental measure will pass. It has strong backing from other state officials as well. This move will force automotive manufacturers to accelerate the adoption of zero-emissions vehicles. Several technologies would qualify, including hydrogen fuel cells, though the industry is expected to place its primary focus on battery electric vehicles. Nearly 10 million battery electric vehicles are expected to be sold worldwide this year. The U.S. lags China, where demand is forecast to reach 6 million for all of 2022, with European sales approaching 2.5 million. Still, the American market will see substantial growth, reaching a milestone of 1.1 million. All electric vehicles made up less than 1% of U.S. demand just a few years ago in 2019, reaching 5% in late 2021. Sales surged another 66% during the first half of 2022. And California isn't the only place that's phasing out the sales of gas and diesel-powered vehicles. 10 European countries, including Great Britain, France, Spain, and Norway, have also laid out targets for transitioning to BEVs, as has Canada. The proposed rules by the California Air Resource Board call for phasing out vehicles using internal combustion engines beginning in the 2026 model year. Initially, 35% of new passenger vehicles, including sedans, coupes, SUVs, CUVs, and small pickup trucks, would need to use zero-emissions technologies. That would reach 68% by 2030 and 100% by 2035. However, the quotas do leave room for the sale of plug-in hybrids. It's uncertain what would happen if this ban is approved. Automakers could ignore the new rules altogether, but at the risk of being banned from the single largest vehicle market in the U.S., California accounting for about 12% of industry volume. They could also limit the products they offer in California to qualified vehicles, which today includes models like the Tesla Model Y, Ford Mustang Mach-E, and the Volkswagen ID.4. It's not just California looking to vote on this. As many as a dozen states, including New York and Oregon, are planning similar votes very soon, and many have given clear signal they will follow California's lead. In fact, 5 other states have signaled they could follow suit as early as next year, and collectively, these states account for nearly a third of U.S. new vehicle sales, and that would pose serious problems to any manufacturer that refused to conform to the ban of internal combustion vehicles. I guess the key question here is, will you, drivers, adhere to this? Will you follow along with this ban if it does go into effect? You may have no choice. The other big question is whether automakers can overcome some really big key obstacles. Chief among them is the cost of a typical electric vehicle. At an average price of around $65,000, it is significantly higher than what consumers pay for conventional vehicles, which on average right now around $43,000. Bringing costs closer to parity could determine whether BEVs make up 10% of the U.S. market in 2025 or 20%. That, along with an expanded public charging network, which is very important, improved range, and quicker charging times. This will be critical in making them a viable alternative to the mass public. Tesla does remain the dominant player in the market, not just the EV market, but the market, the luxury market to be specific. In the second quarter of this year, Tesla was the top-selling luxury brand in the U.S., outpacing all the other established names like Audi, BMW, Cadillac, Lexus, Mercedes, and so on. As new EV models continue to enter the market, Tesla's shares of the EV segment is dropping. Last quarter, it fell to 66%, down 9% from the first quarter of this year. Still, Tesla EVs continue growth. Last quarter, the freewheeling brand from Austin nearly outsold Subaru in the U.S. Other interesting facts and figures about car sales. Sales of electric vehicles, combined EVs, hybrids, and fuel cell power vehicles, jumped to over 440,000 in the second quarter of this year, an increase of almost 13% compared to a year ago. Electrified vehicles account for 12.6% of the U.S. market last quarter. In the second quarter, EV sales accounted for 5.6% of the total market, an increase from 5.3% in the first quarter, and a record high. EV shares in the second quarter of 2021 were 2.7%. With those gas prices surging above $5 a gallon in the second quarter, interest in hybrids and EVs really jumped up. However, this does not always translate into sales. Sales of hybrids and plug-in hybrids actually dropped 10% in the second quarter, year over year, as the inventory was tight and sales were pretty much in check. Still, hybrid sales increased compared to the first quarter to 245,000. And the Jeep Wrangler 4xe was the top-selling plug-in hybrid in the U.S. last quarter. They had over 10,000, nearly 11,000 vehicles sold. More interesting numbers: in the second quarter of last year, there were 19 EV models for sale in the U.S. 1 year later, that number is now 33. Freshly launched EV models accounted for nearly 30,000 sales in the second quarter of this year. The Hyundai Ioniq 5 was the hottest newcomer. 0 sales in the second quarter of last year. They got about 7,500 sales in the second quarter of this year. 0 to 7,500. Toyota continues to be the top player in hybrid powertrains. In the first half of this year, about 55% of all hybrids sold in the U.S. were sold by Toyota and Lexus dealers. Ford was the number 2 hybrid seller with 11.7% of the share. To me, this is encouraging that electrified pickup trucks are growing in popularity. You got the EV models Hummer, R1T Lightning, and hybrids Maverick and F-Series are now available, and more than 45,000 were sold in the first half of this year, even though we don't have a Cybertruck available. And EV prices remain pretty high. According to Kelley Blue Book, the average price for a new electric vehicle in June was more than 66 grand, well above the industry average and more aligned with luxury prices than mainstream prices. So there's some more facts behind that $66,000 figure. So what do you think? California leading the way? Are they going in the right direction? Love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Take care. One final note: if you are in the market for a new vehicle soon, great. Connect with your local dealership and price and test drive at least 3 different vehicles. A vehicle's strengths and weaknesses can only be discovered when you are behind the wheel. My reviews can be good, but you need to test drive these yourself. Visit quotes.everymandriver.com, select the make, model, and your zip code, and you'll get invoice pricing in your area on those vehicles. Shop smarter with price quotes at quotes.everymandriver.com.
Thanks for watching. Please click subscribe and give us a thumbs up. See you next time.